John, let's start simple. What is technical SEO and how do new technical elements and standards differ when we're optimizing for AI crawlability?
Technical SEO is looking at issues with your website from broken links to page speed and things like that. And for decades now, we've been running technical SEO audits using tools like SEMrush, and that's still important. And it's just that there are additional things now that you need to do to be fully audit ready for AI as well. Uh, I'll talk about how they kind of connect a bit. So let's talk page speed first. So AI needs extremely fast load times for efficient processing, and it's a proven ranking factor in traditional Google SEO. So to not have a website loading in under 3 seconds, ideally under 2 seconds, is it's gonna affect you negatively. Indexing issues, is your website crawlable? That's a top thing on a list of technical things to think about. And so you can set up Google Search Console to see how Google is impact, indexing and crawling your site, and webmaster tools with Bing. So there are a lot of different tools that we have access to that a lot of people just don't even use that can help you with this. So if the search engines and AI can't even get to your site, that's obviously an issue. AI in particular has almost like the early days of SEO when every other website we worked on in the 90s or early 2000s was like, oh man, like Google can't even crawl your certain pages on your site, or certain pieces that were in Ajax or something in the middle of the page. There were like tabs and Google couldn't even get to it, or frames way back, when we would build websites in frames and Google would crawl like one little piece of the frame, and you'd have like an orphaned page where it's just like the middle chunk of a frame instead of the whole website. So in the history of SEO, handling those issues has been a huge part of an SEO's job. But Google's gotten so good at that stuff that it's less of an issue, not a non-issue, but we find a little bit less issues. But JavaScript now throws off ChatGPT and various AI LLMs. So if you, for example, vibe code your website like using Replit or Lovable, and you say, "Hey, make my website," with a tool, an AI tool to just like pop out a website, which is totally possible now, but doesn't make it a good thing if it's like heavy JavaScript website, and then it slows down AI from loving your website. So you just might not realize that those are issues if you're not dealing with some of the technical stuff. You still need clean code, a mobile friendly website. And there's a thing called a robots.txt file, where if you go to any website.com/robots.txt, you can see instructions, if a webmaster or SEO person, added that type of file to tell the search engines, hey, go or don't go. We'll let you go or not go to certain directories or things like tags or whatever on the website. It's a bit in the weeds, but if you're thinking technical, that's something to think about. And now there's the LLMs.txt file, to give some instructions to search engine, to chat GPT and large language models about what to expect on the site. Does it like skyrocket your AI rankings? Probably not, but it can't hurt. And I think it's a good best practice. We're not seeing everybody have that file, but not a bad idea to use it. So think about technical SEO, like old school stuff, and the different stuff now for AI.
So, in order to get featured in an AI overview, what are two or three formatting changes that we need to implement today?
One of the keys you'll see if you go to any big news website, media site, is key takeaways or key points of this article. So at the very top of a long, in-depth article, because as the web has, reacted to trying to get good Google rankings over decades, content has gotten longer, like recipes, for example, like how to make oatmeal. And it's like, my God, like a 2,500 word article on oatmeal, right? It's like annoying. So like AI is really appreciating when people give the key takeaway, or if you write, like tips on how to file a patent, or what to do after a car accident or something. If you give a key takeaway at the very top of the page, that's a huge, huge benefit to your likelihood to come up in AI answers. And then scannable formats, so bullet lists, short paragraphs, clear heading structure. All of that is critical for both traditional SEO, and AI seems to respond well to better structure. Structure is kind of adding an element of trust. Um, and yeah, those, I would leave it at those are some key things.
There's another thing that we talk about called schema markup. What is that, and which 2 to 3 types of schema markup should lawyers focus on to give AI the clearest roadmap to their best content?
So schema sounds scary at first, some like weird programming thing. And even, John and I, we both were, it took a little while to get used to schema, especially because in the early days, you'd have to write your own schema. But now you just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I have this law firm website. Here it is. Go give me schema code. It might not come back 100% perfect, but I mean, it's, if you want to take a shortcut, just ask ChatGPT to give you key schema for your law firm website. Give it to your webmaster, your web designer, your agency to implement if they haven't. Some SEO agencies won't even have implemented that. So you can shock the heck out of them by giving them schema markup code from ChatGPT or Google Gemini. And some key ones, attorney person schema is essential for EEAT, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, which Google looks at to judge if your authors are trustworthy. Um, it marks credentials on your bio. Legal service schema defines specific services, practice areas to the AI, and FAQ at page schema structures Q&A content to win AI answers and snippets. Those are just a few examples for law firms, but a few really good ones, especially that connect to the EEAT stuff for Google.
And why is a website's logical and clean structure, what we might call the architecture, considered a foundational trust signal by modern algorithms?
Like the structured layout of your pages, a good site architecture is signaling trust. It improves the user experience, and user experience is a ranking factor like page speed. When Google was talking to the DOJ, with their criticism of being a monopoly, they did reveal some things like, hey, we rank websites based on yes, content, backlinks, but user experience. So it is a clear signal. And crawlability ensures that AI can efficiently map and categorize your authoritative content. And again, technical auditing to make sure that there's no issues like broken links, 404 errors, and things like that.
So, John, you're a champion of content stewardship, which is like deleting and merging old content on your website. What's the biggest risk if a law firm avoids doing that kind of technical SEO audit?
You'll end up with a huge pile of crappy content because I mean, I'm belittling it, but it can be true where we've seen 1,000-page law firm websites where I won't mention names of other agencies, but some very big ones made some, let's say, weak content many years ago, even, when, oh, let's blog for blogging, say, let's have a bunch of 500 word articles just to have like a weekly blog post. Then, 10 years goes by and now your website's 1,000 pages and Google's looking at it, or ChatGPT, and saying, how do I even like weed through this muck? It's just so messy. So very unstructured, if you've just got crap flying all over the place, especially those like thin kind of outdated things, or maybe you've got blog articles like, hey, we went to this event and the event's long gone and maybe irrelevant now. You should be deleting that stuff or updating it to be more modern and relevant. Yeah, maybe republish, because there's a thing called the Google Helpful Content System, or HCS. And a lot of bad content not only will make that content not rank, but it could drag your whole site down. And we have seen literally sometimes just deleting, like, again, 1,000 page mesothelioma personal injury slash mesothelioma lawyer website. We deleted 114 pages and it actually helped the ranks go up. Now, with that said, we also went through another 100 and something, 150 pages where we merged content, made thin content deeper, maybe take like 3 pages that are sort of similar and delete 2 of them and leave one better one remaining, where you kind of bring those pages together. So you'll have very diluted content if you don't do that. And yeah, we think it's really a requirement now, like not only technical auditing, but like your total content library needs to be maintained. Like, you need to be a good steward of that library.